All right, let's talk some NFL draft, folks. We're only a couple nights away from round one on Thursday. Going to bring on my guy, Shawnee Sharp, and we're going to talk about some of these rumors that we've been hearing about the NFL draft and whether or not we think they're true, we think they're false, and whether or not we think there's a bet there to be made. Sean, what's the first one we got up?
Yeah, first one here for you, Peach, from Peter Schrager at ESPN. Browns and Giants are receiving trade interest for the number 2 and number 3 overall pick, but they would only move at the right cost.
Yeah, I'm not buying into this, right? This has been a big story this morning, is that Schefter, Peter Schrager reporting that the Browns and the Giants are fielding calls for number 2, number 3. Of course they are, right? They have the number 2 and number 3 pick. If you get an offer, if you get a trade that you can't refuse, you got to take that trade. I do not expect either one of these teams, though, to trade out of their current picks. I still expect Hunter to go number 2 and Abdul Carter to go number 3. So, Sean, I just think this is a rumor. I would be taking calls if I was those teams too. See if you can get an offer that you can't turn down. But I think both of those teams are going to stay put at 2 and 3.
Yeah, next one I got for you. An AFC assistant coach told Albert Breer that this QB class reminds him a lot of the Kenneth Pickett 2022 class.
Yeah, Kenny Pickett, Malik Willis was in that class. Desmond Ridder was in that class. Brock Purdy ended up being the best quarterback of that class. We know he was Mr. Irrelevant in 2022. I certainly think it makes a lot of sense, right? Cam Ward's got a ton of talent. Shedeur Sanders does as well. We'll see if like Jackson Dart, Jalen Milroe, Will Howard, any of these guys can develop into anything. But I would tend to agree, Sean. I think that this quarterback class isn't going to be all that great, and that's a big reason why I did bet under 2.5 quarterbacks in the first round at plus 310. It's now at plus 210. I think Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders is going to be the only quarterbacks that go in the first round.
All right, next one here for Abdul Carter, as you just talked about, potentially going to the Giants at 3. There's some injury concerns with his foot and might actually impact future injuries. That's according to Albert Breer.
Yeah, I mean, Carter, he's had this injury that he's been playing with. He nearly didn't play in Penn State's playoff semifinal game against Notre Dame because of that injury. There's been talk of what he should do this offseason. Look, if you're the Giants there at 3 and Abdul Carter is still on the board, you got to take him. He's arguably the best player in the draft. We know the Giants need help everywhere. Maybe they throw us an insane curveball and they get Shedeur or they get somebody else, but I do think Carter ends up being the pick. So we see this every year as we start to ramp up towards the draft. We start maybe second guessing, ooh, is this team going to do this? Is this going to do this? I think the top 4 is pretty much set in stone. I think Carter's going 3 to the Giants.
All right, speaking of the Giants here, there's according to SNY's Connor Hughes, they are potentially looking to trade back into the first round for quarterback Jackson Dart.
So this makes sense, right? I would look at the Giants. I would look at the Browns. I would maybe look at the Steelers trading back into the late first round or maybe even the early second round as well. Again, I don't think it's crazy to think that Shedeur could go in the second round potentially, and I don't think it's crazy to think that either the Giants or the Browns, who have early picks in the second round, could trade back into the first round potentially. Think about what the Ravens did with Lamar Jackson all the way back in 2018, right? They took Hayden Hurst with pick 24 in the draft. They didn't take Lamar with their first pick in the first round. They took Hayden Hurst, the tight end out of South Carolina. Lamar was still on the board there at the end of the first round. They traded back in to get Lamar with the 32nd pick. Because keep in mind, if you draft a player in the first round, you get 5 years on their rookie deal instead of 4 years if you get them in the second round. So with the chance that the quarterback ends up being good, getting that 5th year is massive. We know that there's no better place to be in the NFL than a great quarterback on a rookie contract. So I think that is a real possibility, Sean. I really do. I could see either the Browns or the Giants or maybe even the Steelers doing something like that.
Yeah, I think now going to the next team that's probably the most interesting heading into the draft is the Jacksonville Jaguars with the 5th overall pick. According to Daniel Jeremiah, the Jags may draft Ashton Jeanty at pick 5 as a statement pick. But earlier today, Adam Schefter tweeting out that the Jags are also looking at Ted McMillan at 5. And also at some sports books, Ted McMillan yesterday was 50 to 1 to go 5th overall. He's now down to 7 to 1.
Interesting. So I just told you guys, I think the top 4, pretty much we know what those picks are going to be. 5 with Jacksonville is where the draft really begins. I still think they end up going with Mason Graham, the D lineman out of Michigan. I could see them going with Jeanty. Ted McMillan, I really don't see it. But again, if you want to get Trevor Lawrence another weapon outside of Brian Thomas, I think that's a possibility. I know they got 3 linemen in the offseason to help build around Trevor Lawrence. I still don't think it's out of the question, though, that they draft an offensive lineman at number 5. Jags could go in a number of different directions. I still think they go with Mason Graham. Their general manager, James Gladstone, when he took the job, said he wanted to get better on the line of scrimmage. Will you have a chance to get the best defensive tackle in the draft? I think that's what they do. So with Genty now, it feels like the price is kind of diminished on Jacksonville. I'd rather just lay the juice with the Raiders at pick number 6.
All right, a couple here left for you, Peach. The Denver Broncos are focused on the running back position. That's from head coach Sean Payton. And Adam Schefter reporting yesterday that the Broncos have been making calls to trade up in the first round, potentially trying to get over the Bears and try to get Ashton Genty.
Sean, every year in the draft, I feel like there's a couple picks between like pick 20 and pick 32 or something that like every mock has, and pretty much all of them have a Marion Hampton, the running back out of UNC, going to Denver. And the sports books agree because Denver's minus 130 to get a running back, the plus 475 to get a receiver. That's the next closest. So look, we know with Sean Payton in his time at New Orleans, he loves multiple running backs. He wants to get his young quarterback, Bo Nix, a really good running game. I think it makes a lot of sense. So yeah, I think Hampton's going to be a Bronco for sure.
All right, 2 more here for you, Peach. This one could be pretty quick here. The Bears, including myself, Bears fans, are praying that Ashton Genty falls to number 10, according to Adam Schefter.
I mean, I'm sure you are, Sean. I don't think he's going to go number 10, though, to the Bears. I don't think he's going to last that long. If he does, the Bears are definitely going to take him, but I don't think he makes it to number 10.
I was hoping you would just, fall into my, agree with my delusion, but it's okay. The last one here I got for you, Peach. Saints are higher on Jackson Dart than they are Shedeur Sanders. That's also from Adam Schefter.
I don't think this is as crazy, right? We know Cam Ward's going number 1, but I think a lot of these teams, they do have Jackson Dart maybe higher than Shedeur Sanders. Maybe they have Tyler Shuck higher than Shedeur Sanders. You don't know. All it takes is one team to view one player higher on their big board than another. So I think it makes a lot of sense. What I thought was really fascinating is for Shedeur to be the number 9 overall, or for the Saints to get a quarterback at number 9 was like minus 175 a couple days ago. Now it's plus 260 for the number 9 overall pick. So crazy how those odds have moved. I think Shedeur is going to be a guy that falls in the first round. Wouldn't shock me at all if Jackson Dart goes ahead of him.